Okay, we'll start with a little sound, some singing bowls, or a singing bowl. Okay, so I'm excited about this one. This one is this is Tiamat part 2 because, oh my gosh, after the last video and some of the comments and some more research I've been doing and even watching some of my old videos. So today we're going to start with the 9-day calendar because there's a lot going on. With regular astrology, let's see, wait a second here. With regular astrology, we have Pluto moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius. And this is a big deal. It hasn't happened in so many thousands of years. But I'm also going to mention some things that are mentioned in the Anumal, which is where I have not read that before. I've read maybe like bits and pieces, but I haven't read as much as I've read recently. And I've revisited Genesis. So we're going to do the 9-day calendar real quick, and then we're also going to talk about some stuff. Yes, that was another thing I wanted to mention. So I'm going to write that down real quick. Okay. I'm giggling because guess what day it is on the 9-day calendar? Pluto. Because today is Saturn's day on the Gregorian calendar. And I've been noticing this for the past couple years as I've been specifically focusing on the 9-day calendar. Not totally. I mean, it's hard not to pay attention to astrology because it's out there. It's part of our regular teachings now. A lot of people are sharing their astrological awareness and bringing us to the awareness of like timelines and the calendar. And so isn't it interesting that on the 9-day calendar, which this 9-day calendar that I've basically created, I mean, I didn't solely create it because it's based off of the new moon calendar. However, what I started noticing, and I've shared this in other videos, but I want to revisit it real quickly, is that I noticed that there are a few days between the end of the 27-day moon calendar and the new moon. So if we're basing it off, if I'm looking at it in connection with our Gregorian calendar and the 9-day moon calendar, planetary calendar, because I don't include the sun and the moon because we're basing it off of the moon. It's based off of the moon. And my theory is that we first worship the earth. So and the great mothers were the teachers. They were the ones who figured all this stuff out. So it would be a few days that I call the days out of time or days out of the moon cycle, where I'm sure the moon still has a cycle and there's probably something. Hopefully it will maybe show up or someone else will have that download or that information show up for them as far as that. Some of the things that I've noticed is, for example, we had 2 days out of time this month before the 3 days of the new moon or the 3 nights of the new moon. My guess is, I haven't gotten there yet for this year, is possibly the next new moon might only be 2 days. What I've noticed is sometimes there's a connection between the days out of time and how many days we have the full moon in its full moon energy and sight and positioning. Okay, with that, today is Pluto on a Saturn's day. And we're moving tomorrow, would be the first day of Capricorn. It can also be the first day of Capricorn today if you look at how the timeline works, because it's already tomorrow in some places. Okay. With that said, I'm not going to go a lot into it. It's a 2-day. We could go into a little bit of numerology. With that said, I want to, because we're moving into Tiamat and the Great Mother story that has been, oh my gosh, I rewrote it. And so I have some notes. I want to share that with you in the whole idea of the Great Mother creation. A message came through this morning. I was thinking about all the sea stars and truthers out there, specifically women, us ladies, and the multitude of information that's starting to come out about the Great Mother and the goddesses, and the information of the indigenous and Egypt being here, and the Americas being the old world, just all this information coming out. I was thinking specifically about the women because there has been a very big surge of healing information, trauma release information, goddess information, ancient information resurfacing in our channels and in our writings and in our dancings. And I heard this word, universal she. And I was like, wow, that's what this kind of group of women are, is the universal she that knows who she is and remembers who she is, and all the different pieces of information going through these different sibyls, as I call them, prophetesses, goddesses, channelers, sharers. And I was like, wow, that feels really good to say also. Universal she. Universal she. So I looked it up, gematria, and it's a solid 9, folks. It's a solid 9 all the way through. So it is, to me, a reminder of how Great Mother works and how she can show up in so many different ways. So I want to share that with you. Okay. Tiamat. I have several references. I have the Anumal, some photos on my phone that I'm going to be sharing with you, and then some general information. I want to, we can tap into that at the end. Okay. So, one of the things, because somebody mentioned, I had talked about, in one of my other videos, I talk about how God curses Eve to be on her belly. And I was properly corrected in that God did not curse Eve to her belly. God cursed the serpent to its belly. And so this is all bringing it to Tiamat too, because the initial story of Tiamat is that she is the swirling chaotic waters. It is undifferentiated waters, chaotically swirling. So this is the description, the first description of Tiamat. Then it goes into how she separates herself into salt. Herself is the salty, bitter water, and the masculine reflection, Abzu or Abnu, is the fresh water, the fresh, clear water. And they mate and create the gods. And one of their gods, one of the children, so the children are loud. We've heard the story through like the Enlil, Enki story. So the children are loud. Abzu is like, I don't like it. I might get rid of them. And Tiamat's like, what? We just, no. No. Okay, they're noisy. You know, it's bothersome, but no, we don't have to go that far. So she warns her children. And so one of the children decides, well, I'm going to kill my father then. And so he does. And she's like, what? Why did you do that? And this war arises from that. When we look at some of the wording in the Anumal list, and some words are added, and it is okay. And I've also gotten downloads from the Great Mother and the planet who is part of Tiamat, which even Marduk says part of the planet is, told me the real story. I mean, the downloaded version of the story that I got is a more correct story from what she's told me as far as this creation story. And from this story, they go into war. She finds that because her original mate has been murdered, she finds a new mate. She gives him dominion over the Anunnaki. That's also written in there. And they go to war. And she wins. And she puts a spell on, his name is Kunu. Which is interesting because there's a place in South Africa called Kunu. Okay. Quingu. And maybe it's like Kingu, like a king, like a K sound, because Q can do that. Okay. And then I have some word relations that I noticed. So she makes him, and she puts a spell on him that he will always be in this position. No one can undo it. So they go to war, and of course she wins. And supposedly, like, all the gods are all her children, logically, are on her side, because she's like, no, we're not doing this. And in the writing, it sounds like what she's saying is, we're defending ourselves. We're not going to be doing this. And so the other ones who are against her, and I have some quotes in here, they, with Marduk, decide Marduk is the only one. And so also in my videos, I want to clarify that I've been saying that Marduk was Tiamat's son. However, according to the story, Marduk is her nephew. And is created by a goddess. That's all in the story. Suckled by a goddess. And he became perfect. And so he became the one who should be able to destroy Tiamat. He has this equal power. Because basically, it's her sister's son or her brother. At this point, like, if she's the first this is why I'm like, obviously, the story has been changed. Because suddenly people appear. What? Is her daughter? It must be her daughter, because she created the gods, right? So apparently, in this story, the daughter, son, that would be grandson, another god, decides, or they have risen him to a position that he is powerful enough to defeat Tiamat. Okay, so his father gives him a spell to beat Tiamat. Now in the story, Tiamat is practicing her spells and her magic the whole time because she's building this army. Now, and the way that they describe her, she obviously looks like a dragon. This primordial chaos. What is he not a dragon either? What? Because they talk about her belly and her womb. What? Like, and also, she is so gigantic, this whole cosmos is her, according to Marduk, who, after he slayed her, created all this stuff. However, so in the story, he goes to confront her, and she's doing her spell, and in the story, it's like, she is spouting lies, and that's all it says. And then it goes on, and then it goes to him, and then it says that she's obviously plotting evil. And if you take out the words that have been impressed into, like, the idea of what was probably going on, first of all, you can see the clear division of, even in the beginning of the story where they talk about its undivided waters and the chaos, and then how they describe the female side, Tiamat, is bitter, salty water. So we're already looking at some bias here. And then it just continues. And then it talks about how she creates 11 monsters and how horrible each of them are, and that she's terrible and violent. Meanwhile, if you look at the specific writing of the interpretation of the Anumal Elish, it talks about how Marduk is for violence. Over and over, you can see it. It's very interesting. It even says that his nurse raised him in terror. What? Okay, so there are also 7 tablets of creation. So we start seeing the number 7. And, okay. So, also one of the things about Marduk is that he continues saying over and over to everyone, once he kills Tiamat, he will be the one true God and the ruler of all creation in the universe. And you see this repeated over and over and over, how he makes this deal that if he gets rid of Tiamat, he will be the creation of the universe. And so he ends up destroying her. Then it's the story about how he uses her body to create the whole universe, including this planet, and then kills her love, or the guy she said, you will be king, Quingu, and they use his blood to create man, and I quote, helper to the gods, maintaining order and keeping chaos at bay, to also free the gods. Okay, and this is so that they purposely, didn't I write this down? I guess I did not, but there is a quote in there where it says that, oh, here it is. Ea, aka Enki, created mankind, on whom he imposed the service of the gods and set the gods free. What? So, when I saw several things in that, because we see this repeated story of this male deity defeating chaos, or the dragon, or the demons, or the monsters. Meanwhile, totally ignoring all the exact same things that this other deity, specifically Marduk, was doing and capable of, and had already started doing. He was already plotting war. And I want, to me, it is the retelling of the truth. Okay. So we also go into, so after Marduk is crowned the god and the ruler of all the universe, during the time of Hammurabi's reign, we're going to talk about the word reign in a second, but during Hammurabi's reign, a number of previously popular female deities were replaced by male gods. And in the article, in the writing, it says, as a matter of fact, in fact, it says, during that time, in fact, a number of previously popular female deities were replaced by male gods, including Marduk's story, because we find out that the Anumal Elish becomes, the Torah becomes our Bible. So, somebody had mentioned, like I said, that it wasn't Eve that was cursed to her belly, it was the serpent. So 2 things we don't always talk about, and it doesn't get talked about in church, but we're going to talk about it for a second here, because, wait a second. In that curse where the male god, because that's pretty much what it is, it sounds like, curses the serpent. First of all, the serpent can talk. And he's talking to Eve. And he tells this serpent, we're not going to say what gender it is, because they're trying to tell us what gender it is, so that we relate it to something evil, is my theory. I think the serpent is Tiamat and the connection to women and the goddesses and the divine daughters. And she's like, what did this God tell you? He said, you're going to die if you eat this fruit. And Eve's like, yeah. And that serpent talking and apparently standing. Is this a dragon? Is this a talking dragon? Tiamat was a dragon. Okay, just saying. Just, I'm just, at this point we're like, wait a second. Because if he curses this talking, standing thing, which sounds to me like it could have been a dragon, to its belly, not only does he curse it to its belly, but he curses it to be separated from the woman and her seed. And that has been interpreted to like protect her from hearing the words of the serpent demon. I think it is literally purposefully separating the female from her true and knowing knowledge and rightful place. Her reign, her freaking creation of all of them, including them, including all of it. And there is a statement in there where it says, so a couple of things, like Marduk creates our universe from her body, and then binds her 11. So 11 is gateway number, or it's 2, right? 11 is gateway. Also, it can be 2. Or just a reminder. Her 11 monsters to his feet. And then takes the tablets of destiny from Kingu and supposedly taking his rightful reign by having this. And so by taking Kingu's life, Marduk is now the god of the universe and everything. And then he puts his, and then talking about the calendars, right? Okay, I was like, wait a minute. He fashioned heavenly stations for the great gods and set up constellations, the patterns of the stars. He appointed the year, marked of divisions, and set up the 3 stars, each for the 12 months. After he had organized the year, he established the heavenly station of Nibiru to fix the stars' intervals. What? Now that none should transgress or be slothful. And then also, okay, so if we go by the numbers, so number 7, so he says, he establishes the heavenly stations of Nibiru to fix the stars' intervals. 7, that none should transgress or be slothful. 7. I always think that that's an angle number. 8 is a number of intention for it to continue. He fixed the heavenly stations of Enlil and Ea with it. So he talks about how none should be slothful at 7, but then talks about how he fixed the heavenly stations of Enlil and Ea with it, meaning with the stars. Gates he opened on both sides and put strong bolts at the left and the right. Is this where we're on it? Is this the timeline? Is this creating time? Is this taking credit for what Tiamat had already created? Uh-oh. I'm going to pause. Oh, it stopped recording. Wait, I'm going to pause. Well, I want to finish this video. Yeah. Am I recording? Okay, the numbers are going. I hope this stays here. I'll redo it again if I need to. But he placed the heights of the heaven in her belly. He created Nanar, entrusting him to the night. He created. He appointed him as the jewel of the night to fix the days. And month by month, without ceasing, he elevated him with a crown. So, the story I got, because in the Anumal it talks about how Marduk gets everything all planned and they're all ready and Marduk's about to win. And then he goes and he celebrates and he gets drunk with his military people. Well, before that, he says how Tiamat is spewing a spell and that it's full of lies. That spell is her telling him, I know what you are doing. I see everything. I am the goddess of all things. I created you. You think you're coming here to defeat me? You're not coming to defeat me. I have a plan. I know what you're doing. I've already created a whole other universe where my daughters are in charge. And they know the whole story. They know your whole background. They know what you've done. You've created this whole story. And my spell is, I am a dragon. I am the creator of all things. You think I don't know what you're doing? I know what you're doing. So I've created a whole universe with the feminine energy so that my daughters can thrive and so that we can remember who we are and bring about the elemental remembrance of the feminine goddess, creator, teacher. Not ruler, not, I'm in charge of everything, but the teacher, the equalizer, the true equalizer is the Great Mother. And in the story, it talks about how he stabs her through the belly. And we have pictures of Archangel Michael stabbing the Sabellas through the Mami Wata through the belly. And in the story of Eve in the garden, this is a talking, walking serpent. I think that's a dragon. And I think those stories of like when we see King Arthur, it's a dragon, but it's female. They always give it a male voice to throw us off, but it's female, I think. And can you kill water? If they are both originally water, can you kill water? You dry it up, I guess, but it evaporates. So, to me, this is a story that has been literally replaced by male gods and replaced by a patriarchal theory. Completely separate, and it's true. We were separated from the mother and the truth about her seeds. We would be the great dragon daughters with that knowledge and teaching. Okay, so little side notes that I've learned that I just want to share with you. When it comes to the Mami Watas and water and that type of thing, I just learned by watching Old World Florida that it is illegal to talk to dolphins. You could go to jail for that. We know why. I think the Sybils know why. I think as soon as I heard it, I was like, of course, because we could control the world if we could control the oceans, and we did. This is Queen Khalifa. This is Mami Wata. This is Mother Mu, Queen Mu. And it goes, it goes so far back. It goes so far back. And then the word rain, to reign over things. And then what do we call water falling out of the sky? Rain. But it's water. Who is the water? The mother. How did I not see that one? So that one came through. And I think there's one more side note to share with you. Just a little. Yeah, the serpent in general. Okay, just a little, So one of my older videos. So some of the videos y'all are watching are from like 4 and 5 years ago. And if you know me, you know the story. But if you don't know me, I haven't shared a lot of it on YouTube because for many reasons. But during that time, I had been introduced to a group, a specific person that really spoke about the Great Mother and the Great Feminine Divine and supporting that and loving the Great Mother and how the Great Mother loves them. And what I was shown is that was more of a guise to usurp and manipulate the feminine energy to keep patriarchy in its position. And it was a hard lesson because I wanted to believe. I had recognized many things like the pick me aspect because I could see how my friends had done it and I had done it. But for the most part of my life, I was not the typical, I don't have children. That was on purpose because I didn't want to have children with just anybody. And the person that I was very much in love with, I'm glad I didn't have children with them. But I did want children with them because I figured I could still figure it out. I still love them. But I'm glad I didn't because I don't think that there are very many guys out there that would be really good. Because even though I really, really cared about that person, I cared about that person way back a long time ago, bouncing off of an unlovable adoption to a family that didn't really teach me about how to be myself. And I'm not placing blame, but it's something that I recognized. And then what I did was I wanted to fit in and I wanted to please and I wanted to be loved. So I created these situations where not only was I taken advantage of, but I was giving my love and my energy away. Like, woo, I'm good, or I'm bad and I'm good at being bad, or however it was that I perceived it. So I jumped 20 years later, thinking I had done a lot of work, and I saw this person who sounded believable and trustworthy and magical and had so much knowledge, which they did. Yet it was for me to recognize I do not, unless you are literally like uplifting women, checking men for their misogyny and their ignorance of the history, power, or herstory, power, and truth of the divine feminine. And there is no abuse or manipulation going on. That's not real. And I had to learn that lesson. And if you look like me, or I think you support me because we might share a similar skin tone or philosophy where that's concerned, I had to learn that too. So I have come to a place where I used to want to believe and somewhat did believe that there was a great support from the masculine for the divine feminine and for uplifting specifically women and brown women. Women who relate to being brown and want to bring about vibration, bring about the elemental shifts, bring about imagination and the wondrous amount of capabilities that we have. Unless they're showing that, you can say all you want about the Great Mother. Unless you are uplifting women, checking other men about how they're not uplifting women or how they're treating other women, and treating women well, all around, all women, specifically brown women, but all women, then it's BS. They're not about it. They're still coming from a patriarchal point of view of what a mother would look like. And the Great Mother has shown me that's their interpretation of then trying to feminize a deity who has already been so misrepresented that until they work on their stuff and know how to actually be patient, not cut people off when they're speaking. I know women do this because we get excited about stuff, but we also have the capability of not doing that. And truly listening to women and the possibilities that they bring, because how do you know? And the teachings, to me, there are some who are bringing a lot of information, but as far as a teacher, I want to hear women. I want to hear women teaching. I want to hear women teaching about women. And I want to hear women teaching about men. I feel like men have overdone it with their teaching us about us. No, not anymore. And that has also been perpetuated in my life. Like men professors, men clergy, they're all the hoopla. And from what I learned and what I was downloaded is everything comes from the woman first. So who is a man to initiate a woman? I don't quite understand that one. I don't understand that one. So in these instances, then this is what I had to figure out. So I appreciate the interest in my videos and the information that I'm sharing, and allow me to also show you, as you are watching these videos, how I have learned and how I have changed to be far more wanting to represent the feminine truth and the divine goddess truth. Not because I think, mostly for the ladies, for the understanding, for the overstanding, for information, and also to me for the recognition and balance of women. And I know that, anyways, I'll end it there. I'll end that part there. So, the information about Tiamat and, some of these stories, but I found that pretty relatable. And then how the story's just kind of been retaught. We'll get that separation, but let me know what your theories are. Please be respectful, and I also wanted to address, like, there was a comment also. No, I'm not gonna. I appreciate all your inputs and your support and your subscribing. Oh, I think I'm at 1,000 subscribers, so that's pretty exciting. Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, a little sound therapy before we go. And thanks for watching, sharing, subscribing. Until next time, take care of yourselves.